Welcome back to Dealing Together. First caller?
I bought 3 sweaters to get the 4th free.
Oh, you got fleeced. Next caller?
I traded my old Samsung at AT&T for a new Samsung Galaxy S24 Plus and chose my plan.
That's not a bad deal.
It is not.
Our best smartphone deals. Your choice of plan. Learn how to get the new Samsung Galaxy S24 Plus with Galaxy AI on us with eligible trade-in. AT&T. Connecting changes everything.
Offers vary by device. Subject to change. S24 plus 256 gigabyte offer available for a limited time. Terms and restrictions apply. See att.com/Samsung for details.
She was a single mom who'd found her Prince Charming.
He was real nice, like a gentleman.
He's able to spoil her.
Until the day she mysteriously disappeared.
They did find her vehicle in her father's driveway.
There's blood on the handle.
Oh, God. Somebody right.
The search for the missing woman will uncover a deadly secret.
Her girlfriends were like, girl, you got this stalker.
She'd have like 30 text messages.
You need to get like a restraining order.
But will it be too little, too late?
You're never supposed to question God's will, but I'm like, God, come on, man. Not my daughter. Not in the matter where she went.
Everybody's face was down and they was crying. What he did is sickening.
The brutality of what happened to her, it sticks with me even now.
May 22nd, 2011. It's Sunday morning in Greensboro, North Carolina, a southern city of about 300,000.
Greensboro is one of the 5 largest cities in the state of North Carolina.
A city like Greensboro has some history with respect to the civil rights movement, and you have great academic reputation.
This is a very family-oriented town, but this is not a city where crime does not occur.
At 10 o'clock in the morning, James Sherrod is making his way back home to Greensboro. He's driven straight from work in Atlanta, worried about his daughter, 29-year-old Therese Roseborough.
James Sherrod had been away for work. He was on the road when he gets the call from Therese's mom.
Her mother said, I haven't heard from your daughter. I'm calling Therese's phone and it goes straight to voicemail.
That's not like Teresa. She always answered the phone, so we was like, it's not like her.
So I got up at 5 o'clock that morning and I drove all the way home.
When James pulls into his driveway, he breathes a sigh of relief.
First thing I noticed is my SUV is sitting in the driveway.
When he go out of town, he'll get her the truck because she ain't have no cars.
But does that mean his daughter is safe?
Now look, my keys is in the ignition. I kind of walked down a little bit. And that's when I noticed was blood on my door handle.
Oh, God!
He knew that his daughter was in trouble.
29-year-old Therese Roseborough turned heads whenever she entered a room.
She was a very, very happy, very energetic, outgoing young lady.
She was a real good, wonderful person. And she had a good heart. Like, she'll help anybody out. Always trying to keep everybody together.
She loved to make people happy. She loved to make people smile.
And when it came to family and friends, Therese always had their backs.
She just didn't play about the people that she loved.
She was like a protector. She loved you like if she your friend, she your friend until the end.
Let me see what they're doing. Hey!
But most of all, the single mom adored her children.
If you've seen her, you've seen her 2 kids with her. Always.
She loved her kids so much. Her kids come before anything.
That was the most important thing to her in the world.
For the sake of her children, Therese also went to great lengths to ensure that their fathers remained in their lives.
Even if she wasn't with them, they were great. Took care of the kids, still did for the kids, and most importantly, spent time with the kids.
They had an understanding
pretty much of, hey, we got these kids to take care of.
While Teresa's priority was her kids, she also longed to find someone she could share her life and her family with. And in 2009, she thought she found that in a Greensboro chef named Dwayne Brown.
Hey, what's up, ladies?
We were partying, just like girls' night. She just kind of like met him.
But your friend right here, she's just shining. What is your name?
Therese.
Therese? Oh my gosh, Therese, that's a beautiful name.
It was real nice to her when they started talking to each other.
They seemed to hit it off.
By any chance, can I get a dance with you?
Yeah. Like that.
After that night, Dwayne and Therese started spending more and more time together.
What appealed to Therese was the fact that here's Dwayne, the guy who's stable, he has solid employment, he's making good money. He's able to spoil her and buy her some nice things.
Soon, the two were head over heels for each other.
She's kind of falling for him.
They shared this incredible passion.
Dwayne was really in his feeling, and he let it be known to Therese. He put it right out there that I'm really falling for you.
After 2 years of dating, Dwayne and Therese took the next big step.
They moved in together.
Dwayne was just checking all the right boxes, and things were really looking good.
It seemed like Therese had found everything she had been looking for with Dwayne. But now, on May 22nd, 2011, Teresa's father has just come home and made a horrifying discovery.
Mr. Sherrod arrives at home, and his SUV is there, and he notices there's blood on the vehicle.
Therese had been using her dad's SUV while he was out of town.
I immediately called the Greensboro Police Department, and I told them the situation with my daughter.
She's missing, and I just came home, and her car she was driving has blood on it. I think something terrible has happened to my daughter.
Officers arrive on the scene moments later and are also concerned by what they find.
The first two actual officers that came out there and looked at the door handle. He said, Mr. James, we're gonna have to take your car and impound your car.
But has Therese fallen victim to foul play? That's what homicide detectives suspect when they arrive and speak with her father.
She just recently split up with her boyfriend, so nobody else should be driving.
James Sherrod explains she had just had this breakup with her boyfriend.
That is a red flag.
Dwayne Brown, in the eyes of law enforcement, probably is a suspect.
It appeared that 29-year-old single mom Therese Roseborough had finally found happiness with 38-year-old Dwayne Brown.
They become a couple, and Dwayne asks Therese and the kids to move in.
It really looked like they were settling down together.
But now, Therese and Dwayne have broken up, and her father has called the police after finding blood on the vehicle he'd loaned her.
James Sherrod explains to him that this is the SUV that he had left with Therese so that she could move from Dwayne's place to his place.
So was this an amicable breakup?
I'm not sure. I try not to pry. I just try to be supportive.
I told her, look here, just get what you can out of that house and y'all move in my house until you can get yourself together.
So, when's the last time you spoke with your daughter?
Friday afternoon.
I never forget that. It was about 2 o'clock. And my last words to her was, baby, I love you.
He explained that Therese had made plans to unwind a little bit. She was looking forward to spending time with her friends.
Do you know if anyone's spoken with her since then?
No, her mother ain't heard from her. And that's very unlike her.
James says that's especially unusual, since Teresa's mother was watching her children over the weekend.
She didn't call her kids and see if her kids okay. This was like, nah, something ain't right.
After searching the SUV, Detectives suspect they're right.
There was some blood in the interior of the car, certainly enough to say that there was some foul play involved.
What police don't find inside the vehicle could also be telling.
The keys are in the car, but there's no cell phone from Therese. Her purse is not in there.
There was nothing of any significant value in the vehicle.
Is it possible Therese had been the victim of a random robbery or assault?
We have recently had some of the highest criminal caseloads within the state of North Carolina.
Given the circumstances and the blood, detectives doubted that meant Therese walked away on her own.
Here's this woman who is missing, who has not made contact with her family about her children. Why would Therese leave of her own free will and not contacted anyone?
There's probably some foul play going on. So they want to take the vehicle in and have it checked out for further clues.
Leaving CSIs to arrange for a tow, detectives pay a visit to Therese's friend, Miguel Chavis.
Anything I can do to help. Teresa's my best friend.
We was real close since we was 8 years old.
Miguel tells police that Therese had come by on Friday afternoon.
She came over, she had her son with her.
What time did they get there?
It was after lunch.
While Therese's little boy played in the other room, Miguel says she and Therese discussed their plans for the evening.
Once the daughter was out of school, Therese was going to take her and the son over to her mom's house. That would free her up for the evening to go out and have a nice time in the town.
We are hitting the club tonight.
Yeah. You're not missing Dwayne.
No, girl.
She was like, I broke up with her. We're gonna have a girls' night. We finna have fun.
But Miguel says that their planning session was soon interrupted.
Therese's phone just kept ringing, and it was Dwayne.
That man don't quit.
I'm ignoring him.
Only according to Miguel, Dwayne refused to be ignored.
There's a knock at Miguel's door, and it's Dwayne.
What you want, Dwayne?
I need you to come to the house to get your stuff right now.
And he was like, come get your stuff now, because he had to go somewhere.
He said, I'm going out of town. We need to go ahead and make this happen.
Was he aggressive with her?
He was very aggressive. Well, not like physically aggressive, but just his demands and everything.
How did Therese react to that?
I mean, she's a little annoyed, but I think she just wanted to get her things and get out of there.
She was like, all right. And when she was about to go, I was like, do you want me to go with you?
Nah, girl, I'll be right back.
She was like, I'll be back in an hour.
She felt safe enough to leave, not only with her person, but also with her 3-year-old son.
Do you happen to remember what kind of car they left in?
Yeah, Teresa's in her dad's SUV.
So she get in the truck. He followed behind her.
Miguel says that an hour passed, and then 2.
I'm like, she ain't back yet. So I called her phone. Her phone kept on going to the voicemail.
Were you worried?
No, I just figured her and Dwayne were talking things out.
She thought that, well, no, they're probably making up and she probably turned the phone off.
Or, considering the blood detectives found on Therese's borrowed SUV, could there be a more sinister explanation?
They're thinking Dwayne maybe could have done something.
What was Therese's relationship like with Dwayne?
To be honest, they argued a lot. That's why they split up.
She knew she couldn't do it no more.
Do you think Dwayne could be capable of physically harming Therese?
Nah, I don't think he would take it that far.
He was like, nah, it probably wouldn't have went that way.
However, with no other leads, detectives head out to home in on their only suspect. But before they can locate Therese's ex, they'll get a tip that could lead the case in an entirely new direction.
Detectives get a call from another friend who tells them about this new guy Therese had met.
About 6 months before Therese actually broke up with Dwayne, there was this gathering the girlfriends had put together.
We was like, hey, we got some new friends we're gonna go out with.
Therese had tagged along and met 28-year-old Joshua Dully.
Another male friend had brought Josh along. Josh and Therese connected, exchanged phone numbers, but she made it clear to Josh, you and I are just friends here.
But Josh might not have gotten the message.
They start communicating, started exchanging text messages, a lot of it coming from Josh, to the point where the girlfriends were like, girl, you got this stalker.
Greensboro, North Carolina detectives investigating the disappearance of 29-year-old Therese Roseborough have just learned the missing single mom may have had a stalker.
A man named Josh had been repeatedly texting Therese over the last few months.
Josh kind of poured his heart out to her. I know you're still in a relationship with this other guy, but listen, I want us to be together.
Therese had told Josh she wasn't interested.
But now detectives wondered, what if Josh wouldn't take no for an answer?
Maybe Josh found out there was a breakup with Dwayne.
Josh might have assumed, maybe she was finally breaking up with Dwayne to be with me.
As far as Josh was concerned, here was an opportunity.
But had Josh's hopes been just as quickly dashed?
Maybe Josh let his feelings get the best of him.
Or did Dwayne suspect Therese was dumping him for someone new?
Maybe Dwayne was upset that this cat Josh is getting involved and moving in on his girl.
The revelation of a possible love triangle is a huge red flag for detectives.
They left a message for Dwayne to call them back. Police were thinking they have Dwayne, who has a history with Therese. They've also got this new guy, Josh. They need to talk to both of them, but they're having trouble reaching Dwayne.
In the interim, detectives move on to Josh.
They reach him, and Josh gets to the police station, and the police begin their interrogation.
Face to face with detectives, Josh appears upset about Therese's disappearance.
She means so much to me.
During the interview, he didn't deny having a thing for Therese, but he said it wasn't going anywhere.
She wants to just keep things friendly. He obviously wanted more, but he respected what she was saying.
Although Josh also admits that Therese had called him on Friday and told him she was breaking up with Dwayne.
I was excited. We're gonna go out to the club.
She's starting to warm up a little bit. Says, you know what, Josh? Some friends and I are getting together tonight, and you should come and hang out with us.
She told me to, meet her out. We're gonna go to the club and, have a good time.
What time was that?
It was around 10 o'clock, but I waited there for hours and hours, and, she never showed up.
Josh said he kept texting Therese trying to figure out when she was going to get to the club, but she never responded.
Where'd you go after that?
Home.
Oh, you went home?
Yeah.
You have someone that can vouch for you for that?
No.
You don't mind if we check your phone out, do you?
Yeah.
Scanning through Josh's texts appears to confirm his story.
He's a little perturbed. He's like, okay, we've made these plans. You told me your plans to move on. I'm sitting here.
But they also wonder if there's more to the story than the texts reveal.
Were you aware that Therese met up with Dwayne earlier that afternoon?
No.
Really? Or did you actually find out and you got angry?
What are you trying to say, man?
It's clear to detectives that Josh was upset that Therese didn't show up or respond to his texts. So they asked him straight up, was he upset enough to harm her?
No way, man.
With nothing to tie Josh directly to the crime, detectives let him go. But they're far from done with him.
They still want to pull Josh's phone records because what they want to do now is, as they try to put together timelines, they also want to look at locations to track what cell phone towers were pinging and at what time.
In the meantime, still unable to get in touch with Dwayne, detectives ask Teresa's mother, Terry Roseborough, to come in for a formal statement.
Terry tells police she's been trying to reach Therese for days now, but her calls were going straight into voicemail, and Therese wasn't responding to her texts either.
Well, if she was okay, sir, she would have called her kids by now.
She would not be out of touch that long and also out of touch from her children.
Teresa's mom explains that she had been watching the kids since late Friday afternoon.
But according to Teresa's mom, it wasn't Therese who dropped the kids off at her house.
It was Dwayne Brown who dropped them off.
He just said that she had gone off with her friends and had left him with the kids.
Was that unusual?
Her mom was like, she ain't gonna just leave her kids like that.
Less than 24 hours after Therese Roseborough's father reported her missing, her mother has just given detectives some disturbing information.
According to Teresa's mom, it was her daughter's ex-boyfriend, Dwayne, who dropped the kids off at her house on the afternoon Therese disappeared.
Therese wasn't in the car.
They're thinking, wait a minute, if Therese and Dwayne no longer are a couple, what business would he have dropping off her kids to her mom's house?
Is this normal daily behavior?
No.
Regardless if he was her boyfriend or not, she don't leave her kids, unless it's with her mom.
That's how everybody knew, something ain't right, because she ain't gonna never leave her kids.
Teresa's mother also tells detectives that her 3-year-old grandson was acting strange after being dropped off.
My grandson didn't want to leave that car.
He kept going to the trunk of the vehicle and standing by the vehicle, just standing there. He didn't say anything, but he would not leave the trunk area.
She ain't think nothing of it because, he's a little baby.
But in hindsight, after Therese went missing, her mother says she made a chilling realization.
I knew he had did something to harm my baby, and maybe she's even in the trunk of that car.
According to Teresa's mom, her grandson's behavior isn't the only reason she suspects Dwayne did something either.
My daughter has told me that Dwayne has been abusive.
Teresa admitted, sometimes Dwayne can get outside of himself and he can overdo it and maybe push me around in front of the kids.
News that Dwayne had abused Therese in the past comes as a surprise to detectives.
I really didn't know that there was even a problem.
Do you think things could have ever went further than that?
She said she had it handled.
She used to tell me, Dad, I don't want you getting involved. And I trusted my daughter. I'm like, okay, she don't need no help.
But had Therese been wrong? Had Dwayne been more than she could handle? Detectives are starting to suspect that could be the case.
At this point, the police were trying to get a hold of Dwayne for more than 12 hours.
They're like, man, this guy's probably on the run.
We believe at that point, Mr. Brown did run, and he was fleeing the area.
Alongside what they heard from Teresa's mom, the fact that Dwayne had apparently fled was enough for a judge to authorize a search warrant.
Once detectives have the warrant, they head to Dwayne's house.
They knock on the door.
Please, open up.
No response. They get to a point like, look, we gotta see if the guy's in there.
Dwayne isn't home, but what the police do find is alarming.
When they searched the residence, there was evidence that there had been some foul play. There had been flecks of blood that had not been cleaned up. The biggest item, though, was that the carpet was missing. It had just been completely cut out of the middle of the floor.
To detectives, it looks like they've just found the crime scene.
You don't just cut out one section of a floor and leave it. Something happened in that room.
And detectives had a pretty good idea of what that was.
At that point, we're looking beyond just a missing person. We're looking for the possibility that there is a body.
Now all but certain Therese is dead and that Dwayne is her killer, detectives work quickly to bring him in for questioning.
One of the common tactics that law enforcement will do is they'll try and trace their phone to see if it pings, which will give a general vicinity.
Police were able to track him down, and they discovered that he was still in town at a hotel.
Once detectives have located Dwayne, officers move in to secure the suspect.
Our violent crime apprehension team took him into custody.
They're waiting for him, guns drawn. He opens the door with his hands up.
He gave up pretty peacefully.
They make the arrest and take him back to the station.
They brought him down to the interview room here in Greensboro, and he did waive his rights and agree to speak.
Does that mean he's ready to tell the truth, though?
When they did talk to Dwayne Brown, he was defensive. He didn't know where she was, that they were done, that the relationship was over, and he continued to deny he knew what happened to her.
But when detectives reveal the mountain of evidence they have against him, Dwayne makes a shocking confession.
He owns up to it, says, yeah, I did, I killed her.
But it isn't what it looks like, okay?
Taken into custody by Greensboro, North Carolina detectives, 38-year-old Dwayne Brown has just confessed to killing his ex-girlfriend, 29-year-old Therese Roseborough.
He eventually did confess, but his confession was that he and Therese had gotten into an argument and she attacked him, and that he had to defend himself.
We used to argue a lot, but she was the one who started all of the fights.
He was trying to put out there, trying to make it like she was a bully.
Dwayne tells detectives that things had initially been fine when she came over to pick up her things. But he says the mood changed once Therese sent her son outside to play.
Couldn't this have waited?
According to Dwayne, Therese is a kind of person who could push buttons.
No, I want you gone today.
It's ridiculous.
I'm being ridiculous, me.
Things got heated between Therese and Dwayne. And so one thing led to another.
Until, according to Dwayne, Therese had flown into a rage.
Dwayne explains that as Therese went and grabbed the knife, she swipes at it. They struggle. He's trying to get the knife away from her.
He was able to wrestle it from her.
And Dwayne claims that in the midst of this struggle, he stabbed Therese, accidentally.
She was dead.
It wasn't supposed to happen.
Therese! Therese!
However, despite Dwayne's claim that he never intended to kill Therese, he didn't call the police.
Seeing Therese's dead body there, he explains that he panicked. And so what he did was he took that same knife and cut around on the carpet where there's blood. And he takes her body and puts it in the trunk.
But Therese's body wasn't the only loose end that Dwayne had to deal with.
What Dwayne says next about how he handled the aftermath only further convinces police of his guilt.
All of this time, with all this struggle going on in the house, the little boy, Therese's son, was in the backyard. So Dwayne says he scoops up the son and puts him in the car seat in the car, straps him in.
In the same car that his mom was in the trunk?
Yeah.
Did he see anything?
No, he was outside playing.
Once Therese's son was in the car, Dwayne drove to school, picked up Therese's daughter, and then drove them to their grandmother's house.
Unbeknownst to them, their mom, dead, is in the back of this vehicle.
Or did Therese's 3-year-old suspect something, given his behavior that afternoon?
This child would not leave that trunk area, but never articulated that he saw his mother.
Dwayne says that after dropping off the kids, he'd driven out of town, looking for a place to dump Therese's body.
He finds a wooded area, and disposes of Teresa's body, just dumps it like trash.
Then he drove back to town, took the SUV back to Teresa's father's house, left it there, and then walked home.
Dwayne's story fits with most of what detectives already know, but that doesn't mean they believe him.
Trying to convince people that he had murdered her in self-defense was absurd.
When I heard about that, ain't no way self-defense.
You don't stab someone in self-defense and then cut up a carpet to hide their body.
However, before they charge him, detectives do need one more thing from Dwayne.
We needed to recover her body, and we talked to him about the importance of finding her and giving her peace and putting an end to all of this.
Think of the family.
Early the next morning, Dwayne leads detectives to the roadside ditch where he disposed of Teresa's body.
The discovery of her body is one that I will never forget.
Rolled her body up in a piece of carpet like she was nothing, like she was a piece of trash. And she stayed out there for 3 days, and we're talking about 95 to 100-degree weather.
She was disposed of in such a way that is unworthy of any living being. Not even a dog should be treated that way.
The news that Therese has been found confirms her family's worst fears.
It was very emotional. Everyone was just torn apart.
You're never supposed to question God's will, but I'm like, God, come on, man. I'm supposed to go first. Not my daughter. Not in the manner where she went.
The next day, the autopsy results confirm that the body is Therese.
When they told me, it was like I was prepared for it, but I wasn't prepared for it.
But confirming Therese's identity isn't all the report reveals. Therese had suffered numerous wounds, inconsistent with Dwayne's account of self-defense.
There are cuts on her arms.
One thumb was almost severed.
But perhaps the most compelling evidence that Therese's death was intentional are the other areas where she was stabbed.
There were stab wounds on her neck. There were stab wounds on her breast and her chest area.
There's a wound in the back, which shows that she was stabbed from behind.
For police and prosecutors, the autopsy results point to one conclusion and only one possible charge.
This was a clear case in the mind of the state of North Carolina of first-degree murder.
I'm like, I hope he get life. I'm like, because she didn't deserve that.
While the family grieves, detectives continue building their case against Dwayne.
We located other 911 calls where Therese Roseborough had called alleging that Dwayne Brown had assaulted her.
But for friends, family, and authorities alike, there is one more stunning revelation yet to come.
I'm like, why no one told us this?
Brown had tried to do this to a previous girlfriend.
Police in Greensboro, North Carolina, have arrested 38-year-old Dwayne Brown for the murder of his ex-girlfriend, Therese Roseborough.
The fact that he had put her in the trunk and rode around with her, acting like he didn't do nothing, was sick.
While Dwayne sits in jail, detectives digging into his criminal history make a chilling discovery.
Mr. Brown had a relatively minor criminal history. However, there was a conviction for an assault on a previous girlfriend where he tried to stab her with a knife.
The woman's name is Carrie Shaw.
She and Dwayne had a relationship, but over time, that situation didn't work out.
And according to Carrie, once she tried to end the relationship, Dwayne turned violent.
When she tells Dwayne, you gotta go, he grabs one of his chef's knives and puts it up to her neck.
But with a lot of luck, And a little quick thinking, Carrie managed to survive.
Here's Carrie Shaw at knife point when Dwayne starts complaining about his head is hurt. So she says, hey, you want me to go get you some ice? And Dwayne agrees to release her.
Once Dwayne let her go, Carrie ran outside and dialed 911.
Law enforcement shows up at the house. They notice this cut on her neck. Looks bad enough to them to where she would need stitches. So they call an ambulance.
The police also arrested Dwayne, but he paid little price for what he did.
Dwayne didn't have any record at that point, but was pled to a misdemeanor.
The way the legal system works, he was able to take a plea and basically move on with his life.
But will he be so lucky a second time?
Under the rules of evidence, instances of domestic violence, not just between that victim and that offender, are relevant, but also evidence of the offender assaulting other people.
When Dwayne's trial begins on April 15, 2013, his ex-girlfriend Carrie testifies for the prosecution.
She was nervous and a little afraid, but she did come to court and provide that vital information so that the jury could see this was not an accident.
She said, I'm glad I escaped. I'm glad I'm still living, but I know that within my heart, this guy was gonna kill me that night.
It was only by the grace of God that she was able to still be present and tell her story. Unfortunately, Therese was not able to.
So the prosecution tells her story for her. They assert that on the afternoon of May 20th, 2011, Dwayne had become enraged at Therese while she packed the remainder of her belongings from his house.
You can't leave.
I'm not coming back. We're done.
You need to listen.
I just always find myself asking why. This is a big, big world. And if this particular person, if he or she didn't work out for you, just move on. But for some reason, folks feel like if I can't have you, nobody will.
I can't say definitively that his plan that whole day was to murder her, but from the minute he picked up that knife, he had enough rage and enough motive to where if she was not going to be with him, he was going to make sure that she did not live.
Prosecutors present Therese's autopsy report as evidence of Dwayne's intentions.
The real truth of what happened is Therese herself. It was her body, the attempts to defend herself from him, the number of stab wounds that he had inflicted upon her, the viciousness and brutality of what happened to her. It sticks with me even now.
When it's their turn, the defense argues that if Dwayne's guilty of anything, it should be manslaughter, not murder.
The defense was that this was just a sudden event that happened and that he didn't mean to kill her, and so he should get a lesser sentence.
They said if Dwayne had been plotting and scheming to do this, would he not have been more careful about how he disposed of the body? So it was the heat of the moment, and unfortunately, this thing happened. That's what the defense wanted the jurors to believe.
But will they believe it? After 2 hours of deliberation, the jury delivers their verdict.
Dwayne Brown was convicted of first-degree murder. He received a sentence of life without the possibility of parole, which means he will never walk free on this earth again.
The justice that we asked for was answered.
I would rather have served it in another way myself, but he has a long time to sit back and think about it.
Serving life, Dwayne not only has time to think about what he did to Therese, he can also reflect on the lasting damage he inflicted on her 2 children.
My grandson had to go through a lot of treatment, man, because he had severe anger issues over this.
Thank goodness for therapy to help the kids overcome all of that, but man, who overcomes that?
But while no amount of therapy can ever make up for the loss of their mother, Teresa's family and friends are making sure her death was not in vain.
Every year, I throw a memorial cookout. Every year in my daughter's name. And it's done to make awareness of domestic violence for some of these young women. Let my daughter be an example for you.
We ain't never think this was gonna happen to Teresa. She knew Dwayne more than we did, so if you feel like with her situation going on, anything, domestic violence, any signs, small signs, anything you feel like you should just go on your separate way.
Go, because the longer you stay, the worse it get. If you need help, try to go to somebody. I know you be scared, you gotta go before it be too late. Because I just don't want other people to go through the same thing she went through.
Abuse is never okay. If you or someone you love is in an abusive relationship, there is help available. Call the Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE.